Hi, everybody. Welcome back to CN Live here on NRA TV. I'm Bill Whittle in for Colion tomorrow. I think he's going to be back on Wednesday. And we are back with the second part of our conversation with our friend Kurt Schlichter from Townhall Magazine. We were talking, Kurt, about the media being in some trouble that because of the internet and venues like the one we're on right now, NRA TV, people are getting their news from someplace other than the mainstream media, and that's causing them some distress. But let me just kind of tee you up for this one. You know, that old adage is very true that, the wounded animal is the most dangerous one of all. When they get wounded, they will fight tooth and nail. They got nothing to lose. And I think regardless of Donald Trump's win in November, the mainstream media, as we understand it, is basically dying and dying quickly. Just so our viewers at home know what I'm talking about, here's basically what I'm trying to say. Let's say there's a riot in downtown someplace or other. Downtown Malibu, let's say. There's a riot going on, and we want to cover it with the mainstream news media. Well, what happens is a phone call gets made to the News Central. It's CNN Central. They dispatch a reporter, assign a reporter, a driver, a cameraman. These people all have to get together. They have to get in their van. They have to drive down there. Then when they get to the location, which could be half an hour, especially given the backup with all the confusion, then they have to crank that tower up, and they have to get their lights on. They have to get the camera focused. The person waits for the toss, and they give you the report of the news that happened an hour and a half ago. Meanwhile, Kurt, the rest of the world has been watching the riot live because somebody is streaming it Facebook Live from the center of the riot.
Yep.
There's simply no way that they're going to be able to survive in their present form. And I think that's why they're so terrified of this whole thing, just absolutely scared out of their wits.
Well, Bill, I think what we're seeing, it's very interesting, and there's other examples of it, is a technology-driven obsolescence of old media dinosaurs, even newer media dinosaurs. And an interesting phenomenon is that they seem to move left as they're dying. We've seen the three networks, and they've moved hard left, all of them. But also look at ESPN. Remember, ESPN was dominant 5-10 years ago. It was, willing to go out and pay $7 billion for rights to show various sporting events. I mean, and it had the most subscribers anywhere. It's losing 10,000 a day. 10,000 subscribers a day. It's being drained because people are moving on from cable. But even as that's happening, you would think that they would try and appeal to the largest number of people possible. But that's not what's happening.
No.
They've moved hard left. And that's what's happened in the big three networks. That's what happened on CNN. And that's what's happened on ESPN. I don't know why they move hard left as technology destroys them, but that's what seems to happen.
It is. And a writer on the web named Sarah Hoyt coined a phrase, it's roll left and die. That's what they do. When an organization, a news organization or media organization is running out of money and running out of viewers, instead of doing exactly what you say, correcting this and going back for the middle, they go hard left and die. And she's convinced it's so they can either have their bona fides at cocktail parties to tell people how hard they fought, or more likely that they can get hired by other left-wing media outlets. But Kurt, here's the thing that's absolutely fascinating to me, and I know you're a student of deep history, and so am I. You look at the rise and fall of civilizations, it's pretty much a consistent pattern, and it is always the fish rots from the head down. It's always the elites that go first, always. It's the elites that open the doors. Yeah, exactly. Some guy in a robe is going to come out of the palace and open the doors and let the barbarians in, while the common people are willing to stand on the walls and fight to defend that city. The reason I bring all this up, Kurt, is this is a very alarming idea, this cycle of civilizations. We see a lot of end-stage civilization things in America today, but, for the first time in human history now, the common people have a chance to speak to other common people without having to go through this cynical death wish of the elitists that control everything.
Yeah,
it could be a game changer.
Look how the establishment freaked out when Gutenberg invented the press.
That's right, yeah.
Even then, you still needed a press. Now, here you go. That's what you need. This is it. This is it. Maybe a day of work. And I've got the ability to take pictures, transmit, communicate with anyone around the world outside of any elite's control. I think it's interesting. Look at media today. Look at what's really popular. The Walking Dead and other shows about civilization falling apart. People sense something is going on, something that's transformative. Transformations can be scary. Change can be messy. Something's happening, Bill. Something's happening, and I hope
something is happening. Eh,
I
uh,
hope we
the,
can control the chaos. I've been where there's chaos. Chaos is a bad
yeah,
thing. I don't want it here.
chaos is. I don't want it here either. Fortunately, we have half of the country that's still dedicated to law and order and has a sense of responsibility. Speaking of The Walking Dead, Kurt, you might get a kick out of this. I wish I'd said it myself, but I saw it online. I can't remember where I saw it. But somebody was speaking about The Walking Dead, and they said that when your society has run out of adventure, then the only adventure is to destroy the society. And that's basically what
True.
Walking Dead does. Walking
Yes.
Dead gives a lot of liberal people a chance to vicariously figure out whether or not they would be able to survive if all they had basically was a weapon and a canteen. And it's so attractive to them because they don't have to actually go through it, but you can tell it's challenging. It's certainly what I feel when I watch shows like this. What would I do? Where would I go? How would we organize things? And it is a sign of a society that's been, I don't want to say too safe for too long, but should certainly have more appreciation of what the world is really like.
Well, look, Americans are spoiled. In a way, that's good. I mean, I don't
Hmm.
want my kids to grow up in the kind of chaos I served in. But on the other hand, it's hard to appreciate that the entire world isn't, frankly, paradise. I mean, compared to 99.99999% of human beings in history, like you and I
Hmm.
both live in Los Angeles. I mean, we're right at the edge. You're just
Yeah,
statistically not doing better than our lives as far as
that's
safety, as far as material satisfaction, as far as health. You just aren't. But do we appreciate that? Do we understand that this didn't just happen? It's part of a system, like I keep saying. It's like, and the example I like to use is, you go out and date a feminist and you open the door for her and she yells at you because you're, opening a door
hmm.
for her. And then you get her chair and she yells at you because she can get her own chair. Then after the date, she goes home, calls her friends and complains because you didn't pick up the check.
Yeah, imagine.
It's a
Imagine. Yeah, these
system.
are all signs. These are all signs of a society that I think has been so secure for so long, and I mean 2, 3 generations now, that the idea of wolves at the door is just not imaginable to them. That's why they have shows like The Walking Dead. Hey, Kurt, speaking of undead zombies who you simply cannot kill, apparently Hillary Clinton's talking about running again.
Oh, Leonard.
There's a yeah. No, she says She's talking about coming out from the woods. There's that picture of her not long after her loss. I mean, within a day or two, where somebody just a big Hillary supporter just happened to stumble upon Bill and Hillary walking quietly out in the woods, like normal people. But she says that she can't stand to watch what's on television, she says, Kurt. And once again, for the good of the Republic, she's being dragged against her will back into the public eye.
Cincinnati
Yeah.
is being drawn away from his plow once more to
Yes,
serve the
poor
Republic.
thing. She just all she wants to do is just retire in peace, and the Republic keeps calling her back to a life of public service, which has netted her something like 110
You
million
know,
dollars. Is
it's
is she
sad.
is she finished, Kurt? I thought she was done, but it is like The Walking Dead. It's like the monster at an end of a horror movie. You just keep killing it, and it won't stay down.
And look, I'm all for her coming back because she's been
Yeah, me too.
rejected once and she'll be rejected again. She is operating. She's fueled purely on entitlement. She thinks it's hers, and she's got her part of the party determined to make sure she gets what's hers. The rest of the party has its own agenda and can't stand her because she's getting in the way. The fact is, neither of the two parties fit America. They don't fit the coalition. Their coalitions aren't what they used to be, so they've got to
Yes.
change. Now, the Republican Party started changing in 2012. It really changed last year, and it was painful. But we've looked at some things as Republicans, and we're doing things differently. The Democrats do not want to change
Exactly.
because
This time last.
in an even stronger way,
Uh,
there is no equivalent of the Clintons in the Republican Party. The Bushes, come on, they've got no real power. They
yeah,
just don't. They got a lot of money, but they don't
and
have the power to make Jeb a thing. The Clintons do have the power in an organization in their party and can hold on and prevent change because change means no more Clintons.
Speaking of preventing change, Kurt, um, guess who's being mentioned in terms of a big power in politics coming up? It's none other than Chelsea Clinton, who may be the most charisma-free individual I've seen in quite a long time.
Wow.
Um, they're talking about Michelle Obama running in 2020. What is it with these people that simply cannot get over the fact that we don't like these policies and we don't like these people? The Democratic Party, which used to represent the working man, Donald Trump carried the working man. If you take the working man vote away from the Democratic Party, they don't just lose a voting bloc, they lose their entire identity, they lose their soul. And that's exactly what's happening.
Well, it's just a collection of special interests. Look, I wrote in Town Hall
right.
today on Chelsea Mania, and I got to say, I'm a big supporter because I would love her. I would love the Democrats to continue making these mistakes. Don't interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake, as Napoleon teaches. But it's ridiculous. They are bereft of ideas because it's not an ideological party. It's a transactional party. Each little group gets its thing. And for a lot of them, its thing is messing with the other guys, messing with guys like you and me.
So you think they're not so much a political party anymore as a web of obligations and power, like almost like the mafia.
It's a deal. Now the Republican Party has its problems, but one thing it is ideological. You hear ideological fights.
That's right. That's
even
right.
to the extent that you've got Lindsey Graham and John McCain making arguments that I guess are ideological-ish, but they do have. I mean, I've got my problems with these guys, but they have a coherent ideology, even if it's not one I subscribe to. And there's a fight going on in the Republican Party over the ideology. There's not in the Democrat Party. What they're doing is dividing the spoils.
Yeah. That's right. And because we have ideological differences, we're much fitter than they are in terms intellectually and morally, too. You go to one of these left-wing rallies, Occupy Wall Street, the same banners printed up. People are chanting, hey, hey, ho, ho's, fill in the blank has got to go for hours. You go to a Tea Party rally, for example, and you hear 12 or 13 speakers talking about the Federal Reserve System. You'll talk about people talking about the 17th Amendment. You get actual information and actual differing points of view. Real quick, because we're just about out of time here, Kurt. Do you think, yes or no, that Gorsuch is going to be nominated before the end of this month?
Oh, he's totally going to be confirmed. I don't think there's any doubt. And I only hope that they force the hand of the Republicans to break the filibuster, because I want to make the second appointment that much easier.
Yes, so do I. So do I. Kurt, thanks so much for joining us. It's always a pleasure. I just love talking with you, and I'm sure we'll see you again real soon.
Hope so.
Okay, buddy. Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, the filibuster rule, like every other rule, the liberals have a law, and the law is something they absolutely bow down and expect us all to worship when it's working for them. And then when it's not working for them, then it's a civic obligation to break the law. They broke hundreds of years of time with the filibuster. Now they're going to pay for it. In any event, more to talk about as always. Thank you very much for Colion for letting me sit in on your show here. It's CN Live on NRA TV. We'll be back tomorrow. And until then, you take care of yourselves out there.